That being said, Vivien today gave a speech on bzzzt, already first mistake. I'm so flustered. Vivien didn't give a speech. She had a conversation with us on the topic of conversational leadership. And today I learned a lot. What is conversational leadership? Apparently, it's a style of leading where you make sure that everyone feels seen and heard and is guided by the power of storytelling and asking the right questions to make people think, come to their own conclusions, and then hopefully do the right things. This is what we learned today, first in a speech part. I will come back to this speech part later, and then in the Q&A session. In this feedback, I want to focus on two things: the technical part of presenting and leading the session, and then more the content part and the details. Let's begin with those things that we are here in Toastmasters to learn. We want to learn about proper pacing. We want to learn about vocal variety, on body language, on proper use of language. And all of this was so damn outstanding. Vivien didn't use a single filler word because she's such an experienced moderator and talk show host that she is very confident in speaking slowly, never having to stop to think. And even if she does, we don't notice because she takes a breath, continues on talking. There's no so nothing. It's just the proper pacing. It's easy to follow. It's very amazing. Secondly, vocal variety and body language. You remember the beginning? The boss, let me tell you 3 things. And then we say, why? What an outstanding combination of body language and vocal variety. So in these aspects, body language, vocal variety, and the last one, all of us try to learn on how to better connect to our audience. Today's project, holding a Q&A session, of course, leads itself to this purpose to form a connection with the audience. But Vivien immediately in her very first sentence built a connection to us by asking us a question: whether we have ever been in certain situations with our bosses. So this connection was formed immediately. Now to the second part. In the feedback form for today, the topic is to find out whether Vivien gave us a well-organized speech and a well-facilitated Q&A session. Let's begin with the Q&A session. It obviously was well-facilitated. There were questions, there were answers. Vivien knew very well what she was talking about, so she was very well prepared to give us answers on all of our questions. This was perfect. And by the way, when Vivien answered my question of what this kind of leadership is, she explained a style of leadership that is more than 2,000 years old. So if anyone has read the old philosophers, Socrates and these guys, they did exactly this kind of thing, asking questions and making people to think about it. The well-organized speech part is something that I want to focus on a bit, because in my opinion, what Vivien did was not really a speech, it was a conversation. And this has pros and cons. On the one hand, she showcased what she wanted to talk about. It was a conversation. It was not, let me tell you 3 things, 1, 2, 3. It was meandering a bit between building a connection to the audience, telling a joke, then giving this takeaway message of make them feel seen and heard. And there I would propose maybe within the framework of giving a speech, within the Toastmasters framework, to try to help us a bit more by giving a bit more structure. Maybe we're setting off with the title. Today I will explain you about conversational leadership, or something like this, to structure the speech at least a little bit more. This would be my way to try to improve a bit on this part. And the second tip would be, while you are so outstanding in the pacing and the vocal variety, etc., at least for my taste or for my understanding, it's a bit over the top sometimes. Maybe this has to do with your background as a talk show host, because it has to be so engaging and energetic. But again, within the context of a speech, it seems to be just a little bit over the top. So to conclude, it was an amazing speech, technically super proficient, an engaging Q&A session. All of us learned, and the style of your speech and the content fit perfectly to each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank.